It reminded me a bit of the project in the last Situation Leeds that took place in the Richer Sounds building, where someone went to each of the LS numbers and took a piece of footage from where they stood. Reminded me a little bit of that, just from the setup on different screens. Obviously the difference between Greece and Leeds, but also their experience of those two places. They've obviously got it a lot better than us, so it made me feel a bit angry, but I think that's a positive thing. It's good to feel angry sometimes, and the work of art really brings out the emotion in you.
In my experience, really, is kind of, you're not really given stuff to take away. So the art I'm on about is just like there to look at and stuff, so I guess you can take it away and stuff like that. But I'd probably be like wondering, I don't know, I'd probably be wondering why more than anything else. Maybe to, I don't know, communicate with somebody that you wouldn't really normally communicate with, and spread a little love rather than hate, I guess. Yeah, more confused than anything, because I don't know.
It had the right mix of like visual information and like textual information, which on the face of things like seemed quite engaging, and it was well balanced, well put together. But ultimately, I think that was a product of like the professionalism of like where the money's come from to fund it. I mean, I have been to Italy, and I live in Yorkshire, and I don't see that many like direct cultural correlations between the two. So my first thought was, why has this show come about? Some organisation which is trying to breach, unite cultural boundaries.
He was trying to convey that the art world is in a room, metaphorically.
No, I was a bit pissed off about the spelling mistakes, but I didn't know why they were wrong. I thought the doors bit was funny.
How did you know it was a spelling mistake? Is it because they told you?
I think it's not a spelling mistake, it's just they underlined it.
There is a group of artists in Leeds that have rented a space within the Merriam Market. And the things I find interesting about that is that it's not within a usual contemporary gallery space. People shop and where people experience, and it's about putting something there rather than expecting those people to come to another space. It's about taking that space to where life is. For me, it's trying to convey that actually an artist space can happen anywhere.
There's a little stall that do bacon sandwiches, and this lovely lady that works there, and you get a pot of tea for about 90p. She's good. She's alive.
I felt like, I guess the artists were trying to, I think it was more of just an open interpretation really. I think it was just I don't know if they were trying to convey anything, more trying to get a reaction. I felt like someone who was letting off a lot of steam when I was punching the bags. And as I was watching other people punch the bags, I felt like they were people who were letting off emotions or frustrations, and and I felt that. I felt the whole thing very dark and depressing, hanging from trees, reminded me kind of almost a hanging situation. So I guess that was part of the frustration, the whole emotion that came with it. So I thought it was very dark, moody.
It's more concerned with actually the technical ability of the person who's doing it, rather than perhaps what's going on actually in the piece. He's just feeding the sounds from the environment. So it's just like a conversation, isn't it? If you're standing in the crowd and then occasionally you understand certain people that are speaking, so that's all they do, aren't they? But like at some point you'll have all the sounds, all the levels the same, and you'll just think, it's in the crowd, and then all of a sudden you'll pick out something of a certain. So it is just like being outdoors, isn't it?
So it's basically eavesdropping on somebody.
Well, could it be situated in any space then? So it's just. Why is it on the internet? It's quite an interesting concept. For a public place, maybe.
Islamic patterns contemporary Islamic patterns. In a church, immediately I would just see them as quite like sort of pretty patterns, but the artist expressed was token ethnicity, temporariness to the material that it had been applied with. To me, that's what it expressed.
I don't know.
Reminded me of the performance, and I forgot the name of that Bruce Nauman did with Meredith Monk and his wife, where he if I remember this rightly from the description, creates shapes with his body, while other participants create shapes, and they remain in these positions for a given time. I think they do that for an hour or so. Maybe there's a different way of putting somebody into place that actually got interested. I suppose that it would have to do with the fixed space of Kirkstall Market, the kind of specific side of that building, and then to make obvious this unconscious appreciation of the fixed space of the building. I think that's this idea that you start to get a grasp of architecture, more or less unconsciously by moving through it.